Hello, and welcome to What's Your Story? We are so delighted that you've decided to join us today for another one of our wonderful episodes. We are interviewing a woman entrepreneur again today, which I'm so excited to have on this show because she's not just any entrepreneur. She's a very special woman entrepreneur. She is an influencer of women around the world. And I am very, very proud to say she's become a very good friend of mine. And I'm so happy to share her with you and her story. So let's not have me tell you too much about her now. Let's just get into it. And you'll find out from her what a delight she really is. Her name is Raimonda Jan. Oh, Jan, I'm going to say your name so wrong. I'm sorry. My name was Shropshire, and all my life people screwed up my name. And yours is Jan Kanate. Did I say that correct?
We're
Jan.
gonna get there, Judy.
Well, it's her first name is Raimonda, and she's such a lovely lady. And I'm so sorry to screwed up your name. Um, Glad to have you here today. I want to talk about everything that you've done. It's just been amazing what you've put together and how you've connected women from all over the world. You have an event that you put on every year. It's called the Women Thrive Summit. And I know that approximately 2,000 people apply to be on this Women Thrive Summit, and you've only got spaces for like 50 women. And so I'm just interested to hear about the summit and how the process goes, how you select the final 50 that you put on each year onto the summit. And so just tell us about you.
Hi, Judy, and so good to be here. Finally on your show. We've been meaning to do this for quite a while, and what a delight to be here, Judy. And not to worry, most people can't pronounce my name, so we keep it short at Jan. But yeah, I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, for 15 years now, and the Women Thrive was just a platform that I've created to spotlight women's voices and women's stories, much like yourself, really, because I have a passion for sharing women's stories on our platform. So now we have a global platform of over 600,000 people. And I love hosting these events. These are our flagship events that we host every year for Women's History Month called Women Thrive Summit. And it attracts thousands of attendees from all around the world. And you're quite right, we have quite a selection process. A lot of people apply to be on our stage. Um, and I find the whole process, the whole selection process, quite sacred because, we all have stories, we all have big missions, but how do you usually, how do you choose just 50 women out of so many amazing, amazing speakers that I'm sure you also get to apply for your program as well, Judy?
Yes, yes. Well, um, so many of these women are so incredible. Because I've been working with some of them this year, and I've been so impressed with the fact that they're writers and they're speakers and they're intelligent, brilliant business women. So I'm just interested in what prompted you to put the Women Thrive Summit together in the beginning, and what prompts so many women to want to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think it comes down to actually our big mission, which is women empowerment, supporting women and having a voice and having a platform for us to share our stories and make a bigger impact. So I think a lot of people can resonate with wanting to leave a legacy, to create impact in the world. And honestly, I think through our own community and extended network, we really attract some amazing quality speakers and women from all around the world. I'm so proud of them because we represent women from all over the world, US, UK, Europe, Australia. And when you see the women from, coming together in this one container where we're working towards this event, what you realize that we actually share so many similar experiences and stories and things that we have had to overcome. I started actually this event through the face of adversity, if you like, when we were meant to host our first international event in Atlanta, US in 2020. And I've spent such a long time planning it and preparing it. And of course, the pandemic hit and we were forced to shut everything. And I thought, well, my community is looking up to me to lead the way and show them how we can get through these unprecedented times. And so I put a call out for virtual speakers, and we had hundreds of applicants for the first event. And I thought, wow, there are so many people who want to share their stories, their expertise, and reach wider audience. And so that has become our annual event now.
Well, it certainly is a fabulous event. I know uh, I was a part of it last year, and it was such an incredible experience because I was having the worst year of my life. And as you know, I went through like four major surgeries. My partner died, my cat died. A lot of things just were going wrong. And these women in your group, they were so supportive of me throughout that whole experience. They were just right there. We networked every week and we were online together. And I mean, it's one thing when the lady next door comes over and feels sorry for you when you're having a tough time, but it's another when the person in Germany is calling you and saying, you know, I'm here for you, or the lady in Cyprus is saying, Judy, tell me what's wrong, let me see if I can help you. It was such an incredible experience
Yeah.
to be involved with these women. It was just amazing. In fact, we made lifelong friends, many of us. We're still going to be friends for a long, long time. And once the summit was over, you didn't just say goodbye and get rid of us. You said, okay, keep coming to the networking, keep being involved. And I see that as a result of that, you've been doing some books, you've been doing some anthologies. I think you're now on your fourth anthology for Women Thrive. And tell us a bit about that, because what prompted you to become a best-selling author? What prompted you to get these women to write for these books?
Well, Judy, I'm sure you share the passion of writing or at least reading books. And I was avid reader of books, and I wanted to see more women's stories shared in the books. And actually, it was my community. It was some of the speakers after much like a summit like this. Some of the speakers came up to us and said, "Why don't we do a book? We have stories to share. We want to further our reach and further our impact, and why don't you lead a project like this?" So I think a lot of things in my community was prompted by them, because they wanted to see books or events or retreats come to life. And so I just listened to what my audience wanted, and I brought it together. And now we just published our third Women Thrive book. It hit bestseller overnight, and we're still ranking very high in a lot of the categories that we're in. So it's a book anthology about inspiring true stories of women overcoming adversities. And as I said, we as women have all been through challenging times. And, this book is so much more than just a book, because we go through such a deep process of uncovering their stories, healing through their stories, going through really introspection of what they've gone through and what they learned. So I really mentor them through the entire process. And at the end, much with like Summit, they all become like sisters because they shared this amazing process. And now we together birthed this book. So I'm really proud of the 12 authors that were involved in this particular book this year. And I can't wait to do more as well.
Yes, I'm sure there are going to be more. Do you know, when I was growing up, if something was happening in our life that wasn't real good, or we had something that damaged us in some way or another, we were really taught to keep that to ourselves, not to tell
Mm.
people. Just be real private about anything that went on in life. And I find it interesting that so many women today want to tell their stories. They want to put it in a book. They want the whole world to know what happened to them. Um, what do you think caused that? What do you think made that change? Is it about
Mm.
healing, or what is that that makes people want to tell what they've been through and how they overcame it?
Yeah. I think personally, it was liberating. For me, it was liberating to be able to speak my truth and tell my story. I was very much like that. I thought, well, something horrible happened to me in my mid 20s when I was going through a very difficult relationship that left me scarred in a way that I lost my voice, I lost my confidence. I really lost my ability to speak and advocate for myself. And it became very liberating once I did gain my voice back, and I shared the story, not almost willingly. It was my mentor who asked me. So I used to work with Mr. Les Brown, and Mr. Les Brown asked me, Ray, you host these amazing events for women, and you've been doing this work and you've been doing speaking. What makes you want to speak? And in that moment, I said to Mr. Les Brown, I was like, I want to speak because I know what it's like to lose a voice. And in that moment, everything made sense of why I do what I do today in terms of wanting to help other women have a voice. So I think as time has progressed, it's no longer about, you see, what silence us as women is, I say, is three feelings: guilt, fear, and shame. And that's what we've been taught, right? To feel ashamed of something, to keep it quiet, to not speak about it. But when we do, we are liberated. But not only we are liberating ourselves of those chains, but we liberate others because we can show other people you're not alone, and be the example that it's okay. We all go through difficult situations, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And for me, I see it time and time again that we can make bigger impact when we truly and authentically own our stories. We liberate ourselves from the shame and fear and guilt and fear of judgment, and we just speak our truth. And nobody can throw stones at you if you already owned your story and shared it with the world.
Yes, yes, yes. And I find that the women that I know that are speaking on stages around the world are sharing their truth, and that it is making a big difference with the people in their audiences, that people are saying, oh wow, if they could get through that, perhaps I can too. And
Yeah.
I find that very inspiring. Now, you're a speaking coach and a visibility expert. So, what common challenges do you observe in individuals trying to find their voice and get visibility in their industries?
I think fear. We really have been conditioned to wear a mask and be someone that people would love, right? You got to show up this perfect person and not show your flaws and, be a certain way. And actually, I think, again, once we liberate ourselves of that, the fear of judgment, we can start speaking. I think a lot of people are afraid to show their true selves. But this is where the magic happens. This is where connection with your audience happens, when I think you're able to honestly speak your truth and talk about things that perhaps are difficult or things that people are not speaking on. And I encourage women to go through that process of just owning your truth, owning your voice, and being authentic, because there are so many copies in today's world. I think we so crave for authenticity and true, real, and meaningful connection. And that's what I encourage people to do.
Yes, I know you do. But now you're so busy encouraging other people and promoting other people and getting us all out there in front of the world. How do you stay motivated and inspired? Because I know you work a lot of hours on a lot of days, around the clock, around the week, around the month, around the year, so how do you stay motivated, and how do you continue to um, just put out all of this energy every single day?
Mhm. Yeah, I think taking a rest. And although I do work a lot, even just before this interview, I decided to just take my daughter out to the park and enjoy the day. And, you know, I think the most inspirational moments come from the things that we do when we're not working. And that's where I get a lot of inspiration. I get a lot of inspiration when I talk to people, when I hear about their challenges. And then when I work so much, and, when you're so busy in your business, and then once in a while, somebody comes along and says, that really made a difference, or you really inspired me, or this what keeps me going, what observing you doing this. It really is such a reminder why we put ourselves through the difficult times, the challenges, the stresses, the sleepless nights, the hard workload that comes with building an international empire. And that's what really fulfills me. But in the meantime, I try to take time off and travel and do something for myself that fills my soul, like going to the beach, going for a walk. That just allows me a little break in between doing all these amazing things that we get to do.
Yes, and you mentioned your daughter. I mean, you were pregnant when I met you, and you had the daughter during the event of our year while we were working all the time on putting this summit together. And there you were pregnant through this whole thing and having your daughter, and then she was born, and you had this brand new baby to take care of. How do you juggle all of that, the baby and the husband and the mother being there and all this bit? How do you juggle?
Oh, Judy, you're making me laugh and blush at the same time. She is my fuel. Honestly, I used to think, gosh, I don't know when I'm going to have time to have a baby, right? I want to do this. I want to tick off building a successful business before I have a baby. I want to have a home before I have a baby. So we create all of these excuses for ourselves of why this is not the right time. And lo and behold, I met the right person. And we looked at each other and we said, we want to create a life. We want to bring a life into this world. We are together, so to speak, forever. We're forever love. And I think this is what it deserves. And when I found out that I was pregnant, it gave me such a fuel and motivation to actually scale my business. From the moment I found out that I was pregnant to the moment I gave birth, I scaled my business from 6 people to 20 something people in my business. And I took it to the whole new level with my business. And I was like, well, I will need support. So that's what I did. I was like, well, if I'm going to scale this and I'm scaling it so I can give my daughter everything that she needs, um, and the thing is, you can do everything simultaneously. So that's what I was doing. I was working and, I was pregnant and preparing myself for maternity leave and scaling my team so I could have support. But I think that's what we need to be reminded as women, that we don't have to do it alone. And I know there are a lot of single mothers and women who are doing it on their own. But let that be your motivation to take it to a whole different level and just know it's possible. And for me, yes, of course, I've got my mom supporting me, my partner supporting me, and that really allows me to do the things that I need to do and I want to do. And before I had her, I didn't have my own home because I moved to Spain a few years ago. I bought a home because I was like, well, she's here now. So I said, I'm going to have a home when I have a baby. So I have to do it. So again, it's just a whole different motivation when you have a baby and you got to
Yeah.
prepare something for them.
And she's such a pretty little girl too. I follow you on Facebook. I see her pictures, and she's so cute. She's
Oh,
darling. What motivated you to move to Spain in the first place?
oh, Judy. You're not holding back on depth of your questions today.
No, no.
Ah, it was another difficult relationship that I was in, and I felt like I was chained and controlled and manipulated and lied to. And one day I just realized that the life that I want to live is traveling in a parallel road to where I'm meant to be. And it was in that moment, I was like, will I live my authentic truth? Everything that I stand for, everything that I advocate for other women to be, will I take my own advice and take the leap? And so when I've done the soul searching, I realized how controlling, manipulative, and not truthful the relationship was. I said, I need to walk out. And I packed my bags, I left him, and I was driving away and looking in the rearview mirror of all the stuff behind me. I was like, this is the beginning of a new chapter. And if there's one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to be an example for other women who are struggling in difficult relationships and tell them that it's possible. And so not only I moved out the home that I created for us, I've also moved countries because I pretty much had no choice because he was very controlling and he had stalking tendencies. So I just moved countries, and that was safer for me to do that, to empower myself and start a completely new chapter in my
Did
life.
you know anyone where you were going, or did you just pick Spain at random and end up there and have to start all over?
My mom was already here, so she has retired the same year, actually 6 months before, to Spain. So it was great because obviously she was already here. And after a few months, I actually found myself an apartment by the beach. And I really started my healing journey because when you are in a narcissistic relationship that you walk out on, you don't know what is true and what is not.
Yes.
So it took me a long time. It took me quite a few months to actually heal and go through the process of getting over. So I just took myself a beautiful apartment by the beach, overlooking the sea, and I really started that healing journey. And there was something magical that happened. Once I've gone through the healing journey and I stepped back into my business because I had to take time off from my business, I couldn't work. My community came to support me, and I found again a whole new meaning in the women empowerment because I empowered myself and I created boundaries, and I told the world how I should be treated or shouldn't be treated. And that was a huge fuel to my fire. And I have been more successful than ever since walking out of that relationship.
I didn't mean to delve so far into your personal life. I wasn't picking at you. I'm thinking about running away myself, and I'm wondering, is Spain a good place for me to run away to? So,
Please do. No, Judy, it's not a secret because I have wrote about this story in the volume one of the Women Thrive book because that's when I begun the books, and I shared the story in the book.
mm,
And we had a domestic violence incident at home actually right before I left. And I said to him, I said, I will write a book on this one day.
well,
And
and
I
you
I
did.
stuck to my word.
People better be careful with us writers because we're going to go. You're going to be in the book. You do that again, and I'll write a book about you. I
But
like it.
it's all for a good cause to help women realize that they're not alone. And just a few days ago, I posted something on my Facebook, just a statement to say, one day this woman just packed all her shit and walked out and started a new life and never looked back. And I think I had about 20 comments of women saying, me too. And that was the
Ooh,
best
that many.
decision that I have ever made. So I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone. And sometimes we have to start afresh. And unfortunately, some women are disempowered in relationships or workplaces or communities. Um, and I think that's where we need to really talk about women empowerment to say you have the power to shape your future, to shape your life, and stand up for yourself. But you gotta own your voice and you gotta speak your truth.
Exactly, exactly. And I think women today are much more supportive of other women than they were when I was much younger. I find that women want to connect and collaborate more, and we celebrate each other's wins, and more than ever in the past. Back
Mm.
when I was starting out in business, women were very competitive. They wanted to be like the only woman that was in this business or the youngest woman or whatever. They were extremely competitive, and I don't find that anymore. I find that women are much more supportive, and I believe it's because of people like you putting together these groups and saying, here, share what you feel, share who you are, share what's going on in your life, and let's help each other. And I believe it's people like you that make this happen, and
Mm.
it's such a wonderful thing to see happening in the world today. So, what are your future goals for you and for Women Thrive Media?
Oh, Judy. Well, thanks to you, our magazine has gone global for global distribution, and I'd love to take our magazine into newsstands across the world. And that
We
would
haven't
be,
told the people the name of your magazine yet either. I mean, you have this wonderful magazine called Women Thrive Magazine, right?
yeah, and it's been, again, it was just born as a result of women wanting publication like this back in 2021. And I just absolutely love and adore creating a magazine and sharing women's stories. So really taking our magazine, we are in print already, which we got into print a year and a half ago. Want to do more international events, international retreats, meet more women in person, do more amazing speaking, and of course, I'm writing my own book at the moment, which is a solo book on the topic that I feel passionate about.
Yes. What is the name of that book going to be?
How to become an unapologetic speaker.
Ooh, I like that. What is an unapologetic speaker?
I think unapologetic speaker for me, again, is when we own our truth, when we're not afraid to say things that most people don't. And in doing so, I believe that we create more meaningful and deeper connection. And I share the tools and strategies of how to become an unapologetic speaker, but also powerful and impactful speaker. And I say to speakers, there's one thing that you will never forget. So when you get up on that stage and you're afraid of that stage, I might forget my words or whatever it is, the one thing that you will never forget is your story and your mission. So if you just tap into that, you will be absolutely fine. And that's where, that's why we're here today, Jude, as well. What's your story? Your
Yeah.
story is the most powerful tool. So use it.
Well, I can't wait for that book to come out. I read everything on public speaking because I've done it for so many years. But I think that's good advice that you've just given to people because we will not forget our own story. We know what we've been through, and it's so important to share that. So, what advice would you give to women who are struggling to find their voice or identity due to personal challenges?
Yeah. It's a journey. Honestly, it is a journey, and I would say find safe spaces where you feel encouraged, seen, supported, understood, where other women or persons share similar experiences. I think it's only in a safe spaces that we're able to truly open up and start speaking our truth, because not every stage, not every community is going to be embracing of that. And if you're struggling, especially with your voice or confidence or self-judgment, or you've been through trauma, it's really important that your story is handled with a lot of care. And when it comes to our books, a lot of women come to our books and our speaking platform with a lot of difficult experiences and traumas. And so I handle it very carefully to help them heal through it, but also gain confidence. And it takes some time. Honestly, it does take some time. For me, it took years to get confident and have confidence in my voice and my speaking. But it is really about creating a safe space for us to open up and start speaking.
Yes, and you've done that. You've done that with the Women Thrive Summit. That's a very safe space for those of us who have participated in it, in the showcases that you do throughout the year and in the summit at the end of the year. One feels very comfortable there, very comfortable in amongst the other women that you have in the events and to have happen. I really, I admire you so much. I believe you're one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. I absolutely adore you. I've learned so much from you in the time I've been able to spend with you. I really want to thank you for being here with me today on What's Your Story, because your story is amazing and it's great to have you to join us. So thank you for being here. This has been a wonderful time. I'm sorry that our time has just run out. So we're going to have you back another day and talk more about all of this. So thank you for being
Judy.
here.
Thank you. You're a legendary woman, and I speak so highly of you to our community. And thank you for the opportunity. And it's always a pleasure to connect with you. And I hope our audience have enjoyed this interview.
Thank you. I know they have. I know they have. And thank you for being with us today. You can meet more about Raimondo right here on the cover of Choices magazine. There's a wonderful story in the magazine about her and much of the advice that she gives. Choices magazine is the magazine that I put out through the Women Entrepreneurs Association, and I was very, very honored to have her on the cover of the spring issue and also to do the interview with her. So grab a copy of this, and I'm sure that you're going to love it. It's online, choicesonlinemedia.com. You can find it there. And thank you for spending the day with us, the time with us. And please come back and be with us on the next chapter on What's Your Story?